All right, welcome everybody. Thanks again for joining us for another episode here at with Fatty Kuder here at Kanata Rocks. My name is Fatty Kuder. I'm your host, and we have Ashley Hayes from Capital Crystals. Ooh, I almost made a mistake there.
You didn't do it though. It's fine.
How are you?
I'm great.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
And I wanted to just kind of start off with get a bit of an understanding of what your business is all about. Give us the lowdown, like the 10,000 foot overview, if you will, of the business. What do you do?
Sure. So for people that understand crystals and zodiac horoscopes and all that, we're a metaphysical crystal store. We're a gift store as well. So we have a lot of jewelry. But the main component of our store is that most of our products are made with natural gemstones that are obviously derived from the earth. So you have amethyst, citrine, agates, quartz, tons of different types of stones. All of those have energy like everything in the world. They harness energy, and people believe if they wear these stones as a talisman or whatnot, or meditate with them, that there are certain properties to those stones that people will be able to harness.
Yeah. One of the biggest things when our common friend had mentioned your name to bring you on the show, I was very intrigued because for me, like I've never actually like heard anything about the crystals and what they do and the harness, like the power and all of that. So I want to know more if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that makes sense. I did your birth chart before we got here, and you have a lot of Scorpio in your chart, and you have a Scorpio moon. So it doesn't surprise me that you would want to know about the deeper things, the reasons, the whys, how people could think that way. That's very much a Scorpio moon. That's what I am as well. So I'm the same way because I started out as a database analyst, and now here we are. I saw amazing
Huge shift, database analyst.
Huge shift. Yeah. I worked in the federal government for 15 years, and now I'm working. Well, I'm not working. I own a crystal store, so it's a huge difference. But there's a lot to it. I mean, I always say if all the books were gone, if all the teachings were gone, if we lost all of our people that told us everything, at the end of the day, we would all look up and we would see the sun and the moon and the stars, and we'd be like, what's that? And we would start there all over again, because that's really where it all started. So zodiacs and horoscopes and crystals and planets and all things ethereal all really start with the belief that we are not God and that there is something larger than ourselves, and it's not an organized religion, so it's just something that people believe in themselves, that they can manage themselves. So there's a lot of people that will have emotional injuries or whatnot that will come in that will want to understand how to get some healing, and that will be, a side of therapy and whatnot, or medication.
So if I'm walking into the business today to, ask you a few questions about the business, I've never actually experienced this before, where would you start?
Well, there's a lot of people that come in and they first go, oh, wow, that's not what I was expecting. And then they're looking for a gift for a friend. And they're like, I don't know about any of this stuff. And I'm like, then you're in the perfect spot, because we all like to just talk to each other. Like, we don't assume that anybody knows anything. So usually if they're looking for a gift with a friend, we'll start out with like, when's their birthday? And usually it's coming up. So it'll be like, let's say Scorpio season. So then we're going to try and find something in alignment with what a Scorpio would appreciate in the ways of a gift.
Yeah.
Things that are a little bit more, thoughtful. It doesn't need to be blingy like for a Taurus. Taurus love blingy. So do Leos, for example. But for someone like a Scorpio, it doesn't necessarily have to be as blingy, but it has to be thoughtful. It has to be deep. It has to have a meaning to it. So that's the conversation that we end up starting to have. And it can be just a bracelet. It could be a little bag that we've created just for that specific zodiac sign. And then, I really personally believe that everything happens for a reason, whether good or bad. And that person ended up in the store for a reason. Maybe it was just for them to get their toe in the water, just to learn a little bit about this. And then they might come back again later on trying to figure out for themselves, okay, well, what does my zodiac sign mean? What is my birth chart? All of those types of things that might be able to help them in their life.
And what are some of the most interesting stories that you get from clients walking in and, again, never tried this before, and then coming back later on, telling you a story? Some of the most interesting stories you've seen or heard?
I mean, I read tarot. So when you read tarot, which is a deck of 78 cards with a bunch of pretty images on them, that tells a story, and it's a story, but the way that it comes out for that particular person explains the challenges and the state of mind that they're in and the outcome and the things that are involved in it all come out in these cards. And so I end up in a lot of very interesting conversations that people end up saying, I don't know why I'm telling you this. I don't even tell my therapist this. And then we usually have a pretty, tough conversation that they weren't expecting earlier on in the day when they thought, I'm going to go see a fortune teller. And I'm like, I'm not a fortune teller. I'm just here to give you messages if you're willing to believe them. Because I believe that it works. So then we just have to make sure that they believe that it works, and then we're going to have a good conversation about it.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned earlier we were talking about, you asked me about my birthday. Tell me more.
So I asked you about your birthday, your time, and the location that you were born, because what that allows me to do is identify where your placements are on your birth chart. So when people are born, everybody's like, oh, you had a Gemini, you had a Scorpio, you had this. That's great. That means that the sun was in that constellation of Gemini or Scorpio when you were born. But there's a whole bunch of other planets in the sky, and there's a moon, and it depends on where those are located as well. And those are going to dictate those signs for those particular energies. Mm-hmm. So, for example, I said you're a Scorpio moon. You're a Libra. The sun was in Libra when you were born, but you're a Scorpio moon, which means that your moon wasn't too far from the sun when you were born, because Libra and Scorpio are right up against each other. And your Scorpio is actually in the 12th house, I believe. So that means that your heart, your emotions, because the moon manages the emotions. The moon manages water on Earth.
Yeah.
What is water?
It manages a lot of things. Like, I feel like there's a lot of gravitational towards the moon. Like, for example, when it's a full moon, people are crazy. When it's like,
well, that's why they call it lunacy.
Yeah.
Because la lune, it's from the moon.
Yeah.
So 100%. There's a lot of energy with new moons, waning moons, full moons, eclipses. There's so much when it comes to that. And for yours, I just wanted to get some sort of idea, because you can tell me you're born October 1st. I'm like, automatically he's a Libra, which means that great guy to argue with. He's always going to see both sides of the coin. He probably has terrible balance in his life, which he spends a lot of time trying to figure out. It's always chasing after the balance and trying to make sure
did we find you?
that I'm taking care of myself physically and at work and having relationships, because that's overwhelming for a Libra, right? Libras are the natural libertarians. They're going to stand up for anybody. They're going to be the lawyer. But at the same time, you've got that moon in there, that's Scorpio. So Scorpio is all about the underworld, the things that are deep. It's not about dark. It's not about those typical things that people talk about when they're talking about Scorpio. That just happens to be that Scorpio is about transformation. So if you think about a phoenix rising from the ashes, that's Scorpio. So it's always about your life will be about emotional transformation. And not only will you emotionally transform yourself, through transforming yourself, you will help others transform. So that's why I wanted to know what the moon was.
Very deep.
You like it though, because you're a Scorpio moon.
I do, because it feels like it's, yeah, no, it's very
Your
deep.
Venus is also in Scorpio, which is really, really nice, because that's where Venus is femininity, but it's also passivity. So it's a nice feeling, Venus. So if your Scorpio is in Venus, you're gonna be comfortable with that underworld. You're gonna be comfortable with those things, because it's almost like a maternal feeling of like, oh my God, I'm home. So it's a funny little thing when people open up to you and talk to you about stuff. It makes you feel more comfortable. And probably why we're here today, right? But there's other people, let's say an Aries moon or a Capricorn moon. If you open up to those people, that's not the most comfortable placement for the moon. So they're going to be off standish. So please don't provide me with your. You haven't been gotten along with Aries in the past,
it's
but
true. Like,
there could be other placements as to why. Like, you never know. All those people could be an ascending Gemini, or they could have, let's say, Capricorn moons, and you just don't get with that, because Capricorn moon people can be very stoic. You don't see a lot whenever it comes to their emotions. And that's not a comfortable place for a lot of people, especially Scorpios, because they can see it anyway. So you're just lying.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know.
I see that in a lot of people. Like, I'll be talking and it was like, you could tell there's something. They're just hiding something. I don't know what it is, but they're hiding something.
And the bothersome part is that you can't figure it out. So, and it may even be that they don't even know what it is. So it's,
actually, a lot of the times it's you ask and they're like, well, I don't know. But,
Yeah.
well, you're upset about something. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
What are you hiding? Well, I don't know.
Yeah. 4 days later, they tell you. And then
I was feeling
Yeah.
this, but I wasn't really sure. And then the feeling was because of this and this and this and this. And I didn't know until like 5 days later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and I'm a double Scorpio. So it means my ascendant is in Scorpio, my moon is in Scorpio, and then my sun is Gemini. So I don't stop talking. And I love community and I love communication and I'm quick. It's Gemini is represented by Mercury, which is the fastest planet, right? So it's all just do. I'm all over the place. I literally had to be driven here.
And I know you did say something about possibly reading some cards.
I did. I brought some
hope
cards.
we're not putting you on the spot with this one.
No, I
I'd
don't.
love
It's
to see-
impossible to put me on the spot.
Okay, perfect.
I can
So,
try
I'd
and
love to
show you a
see-
cartwheel too,
Yeah, yeah.
but I'm not great. Yeah. So
I don't think we have enough space for a cartwheel, but we can try the cards for sure.
I'm joking. Yeah, so tarot cards are 78 cards that tell the story of the Fool. The Fool is the person at the beginning of the story, and he doesn't know anything, and he doesn't know where he's going. He's just setting out on this journey. So this story is depicted in a lot of images on these 78 cards. He meets a lot of people along the way. There's a lot of things that happen. And with these cards, they can come up upright or reversed. So depending if a card comes up upright, a positive card upright, reversed is obviously not the greatest card. And it could be you're avoiding something that's keeping you from the happiness that would allow this card to be upright. These cards I got from an American woman who was trying to help people learn how to do tarot. And the great things about these cards is that they have all the little words like flashcards on them. So I've been using them. I just found these this year, but I've been using them nonstop because it's so much easier to show it to my customers and clients to say, hey, read this. I can stop talking now. And then they're like, okay, I get it. So there's lots of different spreads is what we call them, formats on how you can pull the cards out. An easy, simple spread is past, present, future. It's just 3 cards. It gives us 1 card each, a little bit of an insight on what's going on, and then we can clarify with more cards.
Okay.
So these are all yours. All tarot readers have different purposes. Some tarot readers are love readers. I am not. I am the type of reader that I'm a warning reader. So if I do a past, present, future, it usually says, this is where we came from. This is where we are now. And if there's a negative output for the beginning, that just means, okay, Ashley has to have a tough conversation with this person and we need to get to the bottom of it. Sometimes there's a really, really positive outcome that's trying to help a person get through a right now moment. But sometimes that right now moment, because people get brought to me for the right reason. And I'm a pretty tough cookie whenever it comes to taking people's excuses for things. So I don't let people get away with stuff.
Okay, let's see.
Okay, so let's see. In the past, you have the 5 of Swords. Swords are represented by air signs. Air signs are your Libras, Geminis, and Aquarius. It came up in the reverse, which means that there was something that was a secret. There was something that was hard to deal with, and there was something that we were trying to make right so much in the past. But there was truth revealed, and if I were to pull more cards, it would give us an idea of what actually happened. So I would say that there was something in a financial situation. There was a negative situation that happened. I won't get too much into details, but it looks like there could be some truths revealed regarding a financial situation that was happening at home, or there was something that happened which affected your financial situation at home. And then in the current situation, we have fought the battle. So this is our wands. This is fire energy. So this is saying, I've been through the fight and I'm going to put up all of these boundaries and keep everybody away from me in the proper way. I'm going to put that fence up.
That explains my avoidant behavior most of the time. Yeah.
Don't tell me too much. Because the outcome's coming. So, we've gotten to a place where we were dealing with somebody or something or a situation that was very strategic. Something was hidden. It came to a truth. Something happened with family or finances. And through that hardship that you had, now we are in a present situation where there was a really hard struggle and we're tired and we don't have to deal with it anymore. But we persevered, we put up boundaries, and now we have this fence around us where we're not going to let any more evildoers in. I'm going to pull 1 card for the present situation. Okay, so it says that you're still dealing with it mentally, that there might be something there where we're still dealing with the karma of the past thing that happened whenever it comes to things being stolen or the strategic thing that happened. So, and that lack of closure on it, whatever it is, maybe we're keeping our guards up a little too high. See, don't tell me things. If we're keeping up our fences a little bit too high, then there might be an inability to allow people to give us the things that are supposed to be coming towards us, you know? So, I mean, Santa can show up. Yeah, okay. Santa can show up, but if we don't have a chimney, oh, I shouldn't say that. Santa can show up, but if we don't let him in, then we're not going to get any presents, right? So, presently, I would say that there's probably some sleepless nights that are happening in your current situation pertaining to the boundaries, too many boundaries, or the inability to complete this karmic cycle that you were going through, fully get over it, per se. So I would say if you continued on with this situation without healing, there's going to be a bit of restlessness. There's going to be an inability to move forward on it. That's on purpose. Can you pick that up for me? I'm so sorry. I just don't want to... Yeah, see? That's why I don't want to touch it.
There we go.
There's two.
And the other one is...
Okay, so there's a fear of starting over. And then there's fire sign in your life that's trying to pull you forward. But you're going so slow. So it looks like that there's somebody in your life who's a financially independent person who's trying to pull you forward into the future. It's... they're telling you not to worry too much with your head and to follow your heart more than anything else. So whoever is that person that is in your life, that's supportive, that is somebody that you look up to because they are so independent, listen to that person, because that's the warning that you're getting, that someone's giving you advice to tell you to not worry about the past so much anymore. The past doesn't necessarily happen again. There's your emperor. The emperor screams advice. So he's the guy that comes out. He's a fire sign. Here's your Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. He's like the guy that doesn't take any guff. So he says no excuses. Be the boss. Yeah, you're doing this to yourself. You're not manifesting. So I'll stop in a couple of cards, but there's something there where you're working so hard that you're not able to actually even write down where it is that you're going. So we're stuck right now. Although we should be living in today, we always have to allow the universe to see, okay, this is what I'm going to have. Not I'm going to work so hard today that maybe I will have something in the future. It's more write down what you will have in the future and just keep reminding the universe that this is where I'm at. Pretend that you already have it. Don't worry about not having it. Yeah, that's great. That's the happiest card in the deck. That's a great finishing card.
So what does that mean?
That's the sun. And underneath, it's sacrifice. You need to sacrifice something to change your perspective to be able to give you that fulfillment that you're looking for.
Very interesting. And some of it, like, for sure rings true. I just, like I said, don't tell me. But yeah, it's really extremely interesting to me that you can just tell all of that just by looking at some cards and my birthday.
I mean, your birthday doesn't play into the cards. However, being a Scorpio moon, it definitely helps to know that there are strong boundaries when it comes to Scorpio moon. I'm the exact same way. I get it. Like, I'm a hard nut to crack. That's why I'm funny and I'm, a certain way on the surface, but really, it really comes down to it. I'm the person that my friends come to have hard conversations. So it's a great placement to have because people will always talk to you. They're always going to be comfortable talking to you. And your Venus is in Scorpio too, which means that people will see you as like a parental type of, it's okay to talk to him sort of thing. But you're Libra, so you're not going to believe anything I say anyway.
I love that. It's like you call
Libras
me on my
live on the
BS a little bit.
fence.
True.
True.
We're always on the fence. We're always trying to figure things out. And
always on the fence. Always.
We don't take anything that's just been told to us as it is. We have to investigate a little bit more.
You have to investigate both sides to know that you're making a just decision. And it's impossible with this.
So how long have you had your business for? Like, how long you've been running Capital Crystals?
I founded it in May, and it opened on Canada Day.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's still fresh, still new.
It is a baby.
A baby.
It's a baby.
So the new baby smell's still there when you walk in the store.
It definitely smells like sage. So it smells like a freshly saged baby.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's been open since June. It's been really, really refreshing to meet everybody in the community because I've lived in Kanata since gosh, I mean, forever, at least 20 years. So I was always traveling to go to different crystal stores, and then I had a bit of a back injury, so then driving that far was not a possibility anymore. So then I was Amazoning things, and that just wasn't happening, and I was missing that connection with the community. So I opened a store at the end of my road.
Makes sense. I mean, we don't have to travel much.
I'm lazy.
So with that being said, like, how long did it take you to, put that plan in fruition?
1 year. I would say it took 1 year from walking into, I would say I walked into I was in a really interesting spot in my life. And, I went to this crystal event. It was at the EY Center. It was the Rock and Gem show. And I walked in and I had a whole bunch of feelings all at once. One would observe it to be almost a hissy fit. And the lady at the front who was taking the tickets, because I had done like a quick little 2-minute tour, and then I had to go to the front door to be like, okay, there's something overwhelming happening with me right now, and I'm also very angry at how expensive everything is. So I was like, people could pay far less, because I've been collecting crystals for quite a while, and I knew really great ways to get access to them, and ethical crystals on top of that, because there's a lot of politics when it comes to mining and crystals and artisan mining and whatnot that we've seen on TikTok and Instagram and everything. So being ethical was really important. So I decided at that point that I needed a community of people around me that really appreciated the same things that I did when it came to crystals and tarot and horoscope, and a different way of thinking, essentially, because I was so directed in one way my entire life. And when it came to, oh my God, I never really understood there were so many people that appreciated crystals like I did in Ottawa, because when I walked in there, it was jam-packed full. So I was very overwhelmed by the amount of people, and then the pricing and what was available, and it was really fun. So that day was pretty much the day where I got real stubborn and decided that I was going to start a community of people really close to me. Yeah. And the best way for me to start a community was to rent a space. And so I did that, and then I put all of my crystals into that space, and then I realized all my crystals filled up that space, and I should probably sell them. So it was sort of like a hobby turned into an and then we turned it into a store. So my friends run the store for me.
Well, that's the thing too.
Like it's been great.
It's always been sort of like the old adage of like, pick something that you're really passionate about, and that should be where you're going to succeed.
Yeah, I think one of those moments was when I was looking through old pictures, and I was in this moment of my life of, I don't know what I'm going to do, because I was, in a spot, and I didn't know what I was going to do. So I started just looking at old pictures, and I found, and there's not a lot of pictures of me, because I always held the camera when I was younger. So I saw this one picture that somebody had taken of me sitting on my bed with my silly 17-year-old face. And behind me was my big horoscope and astrology chart. And I looked at the picture and I was like, oh, right, that's what I like. And, after having children for 15 years, I had forgotten what I actually enjoyed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we love going to the gym, but but at the same time, that's not a hobby for me. So I was like, okay, well, I got to do something outside of myself. And I also have to, provide service. In my life I just love to help other people. So we ended up just sort of sitting down and deciding that that's what we wanted to do, and had a crystal store. I do not recommend opening a store with no market research. However, it worked out. By the grace of God, it worked out. And I ended up opening a crystal store directly across from what had been a crystal store during COVID, but shut down. So the people...
You replaced the old crystal store in a way.
Exactly. And I ended up in this house, which is a really lovely old home on Stittsville, Maine. And it's over 100 years old, and it used to be a foster home in the 1960s. And when I first got into that house, it was a catastrophe. It was a mess. You could see it on my Instagram. It was like, oh my goodness. We had to clean it up, upfit it, a whole bunch of stuff. And this place just fell onto my lap. It was really funny how things worked out. Well, it worked out exactly the way that, it was supposed to. But we just worked hard. And then this old foster home that really hadn't had any successful businesses in it, I made it as beautiful as it could possibly be. And somehow, again, by the grace of God, one of the foster children ended up in my store. And she just came in and she's like, what is this?
What happened to this
What
place?
happened to this place? Yeah. And she's like, I've always gone by and it was never looking amazing. And she's like, you put new shutters on, there's a new door. And I was like, yeah, we opened a crystal store. She's like, I used to be a foster child here. I was like, okay, well, we need to smudge this place even more. So then I set to work on making sure that I did tarot readings in every room, like just for whomever could have, any energies that were left in the home by anybody else. I just did tarot readings in every room. I smudged every room. And then that woman who is lovely, who was one of the foster children, is doing healing sessions at our store. So,
oh, wow, it's like a full circle.
Yeah, because it wasn't the greatest place for her to live growing up. So it was a full circle effect of, this place caused her a lot of trauma and it was a confusing place to live. But now it's even more confusing. But she loves it and she texts me all the time. And she's like, ever since I've been in there and it's changed, I'm so much lighter. Yeah. So she's been doing Reiki sessions, sound bowl sessions. We've done we don't do tarot readings. I just sit and we do intuitive conversations. Like she just listens to what I have to say and I listen to everything she has to say without judgment. So it's been a real nice time.
Amazing. And one of the biggest things when it comes to opening up a brand new business is the thought that goes behind it. And, that whole fear of
failure.
You
can't even say it.
I don't want to say it because to me, it's like failure is not an option.
Well, it is an option. It happens to a lot of people. And without failure, you can't start over.
It was just
and
a learning
children
experience.
Fall. Okay. Anyway, we'll have a therapy session later. But, but yeah, so the thought that luckily for me, I was a business analyst and data analyst for 15 years. And I know how businesses shouldn't run. And I was able to put together enough of a plan so that I could enable all of us to sort of push forward through any hurdles that we had. And I also learned from one of my previous mentors that do not let good enough be a victim of perfection. Just put it out, iterative changes, just keep pushing. If you believe in your product, other people, it's all about them believing in you. People believe in me because I speak about it with passion. I truly think that it is a certain type of way. And because of that, people believe and they continue to show up. So that's really what it's about, is believing in yourself and sticking to your morals and values. When it comes
I really like that. Like when you said, just because don't let perfection be kind of holding you back. And that I find in a lot of businesses that I work with, it's their biggest issue is no, it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. I got to put more into it. I got to do it. Sometimes you just have to start.
You just got to throw some stuff up onto the wall and see what sticks. We don't walk into the gym and walk out with a six-pack that day.
Nope.
We have to learn.
We
have to
do it
fail
for the last 2 years. It doesn't
all
work.
the time. We have to continuously fail. That is what working out is. We work out until we fail, and then we start over the next day. So as a Scorpio moon, embrace that failure, because without death, there cannot be rebirth. Without winter, there will be no spring. You have to have that ending to have that beginning.
So one of the biggest things as well for me, like when I was thinking of this and bringing you on the show, I was like, I have no idea what this is all about, but I feel like I know a little bit better now. For the audience out there, what would you like to do to invite them to kind of come and visit the store and chat with you and learn a little bit more about the healing powers that crystals have?
Bite the bullet. Put your ego to the side. Don't worry about what I'm going to think whenever you walk in and say, I don't know anything. Don't have a certain type of feeling walking into a new store. It's really all about ego. It really is. Like the gym, yet again, I used to be a gym rat. So it was my favorite thing to do. I can't do it anymore. So now I have this. But it's like how many people sit in the parking lot of the gym and they just don't walk in the door? How many people put their Lulus on in the morning and they just don't go out the door? That's the problem, is that we just are so safe to not try something new. And anybody that's supposed to come and see me will come and see me. And I'm super happy to see anybody walk through the door. So
it sounds like we keep going back to the same sort of theme. Do it. Just
do it.
Put your foot down and do it. Do the first step.
Yeah, and don't be awkward. or be awkward and be okay with it. Like, I'm the first person to come bumbling into a room and, apologize and be like, I'm sorry, I'm a pain in the butt and I'm a mess and, I'm high maintenance.
I love the energy. I love the energy.
I own it. Like, I'm like, I'm sorry. It's just the way I am. I annoy myself. Like, but people stick around because as long as you can admit your faults and admit where your limitations are and be wrong and be willing to grow, that's literally what that store is about.
And I think the biggest thing too that comes from this is like sometimes you just have to be a little bit vulnerable. You just have to put yourself out there, fail, try again. And what I find with a lot of businesses is that they just don't have that, like, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do.
Yep.
So with that being said, how do you feel about some of the resources out there for businesses in Ottawa?
Well, the first thing I'll say regarding vulnerability is Brené Brown did a really great TED Talk on there is no place, like two things can't exist in the same place at the same time. And where vulnerability exists, shame cannot. Mm-hmm. And so I am so vulnerable when it comes to everything because I want everybody else to feel comfortable and I will not be shamed. So going back to that perfectionism piece, don't worry about making mistakes. I opened my doors and nothing had prices on it. I put a note on my door on the outside that says, hi, we're new. I'm a gong show. I didn't have time to put labels on everything, but it's also a great way to meet me. Feel free to ask how much things are. And that's just how I introduced myself into the community.
Love that.
So when it comes to the resources that are around, I am so with the horse in front of the cart right now because I'm not 100% sure. The one thing that I would say, don't make the same mistake that I did is don't start in the middle and then work outwards. Start at the beginning. So if you know that you're going to have, if you have this great idea, if you have a solution to a problem that other people have, and whether it's putting a crystal store where it needs to be, opening up a gym, it doesn't matter what it is, get really good people around you that are willing to fail with you. Mm-hmm. Because you have to have people around you that will be like, and then will stick around for after you fail, do a lessons learned, and then keep going. Okay, well, that didn't work. Let's try it again, guys. Get the team together. Else. You're not going to win every time you hit the ice.
One thing that I love bringing up on the show as well, too, because I hear this phrase quite often, and it really irritates the hell out of me when someone says Ottawa is boring. How do you feel about that?
I love boring. I'm a big fan of boring. I don't like drama. So, I would challenge that with a lot of other things that I've heard about Ottawa and how it's popular in different ways, which would lead me to think that it's not actually boring. It's just, it's a government-run town, which is a very
conservative
rule set. No. There are heavy rule sets that a lot of different people are following. There's a very cookie cutter feeling, and it's a cult mentality when we get into large corporations, when everybody does the 9 to 5, when we drive home, when we do the thing and we get the kids, and then we watch the show and then we go to bed. And it becomes that habit. And then that's what life becomes. We don't actually enjoy it. We're just living it.
Yeah.
So I think, there are great things to do in Ottawa. Like, I go to Nordique all the time. I go to Gatineau Hills. Like, we do lots of fun things. It's a beautiful place if you love the outdoors. There's lots of great there's wonderful museums. Yeah. I have people come up from the United States to visit me at the store because I buy things from everywhere, and I take them to the museums. I'm like, have you seen this monument that we have? Because we're the capital. So we have really great things. But I think it's like people that live close to Disney being like, well, I've been there so many times. It's people take advantage of that. So I
think it's a bit more of complacency. Like they just get into that same rut.
Well, Ottawa's not boring. People are boring.
Thank you. It wasn't me, guys.
Yeah, put that on the internet. Off to the comments.
Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate you having you here, Ashley. And I would invite the audience to come out and check out your store in Stittsville, Maine. It's a really lovely area. And we'll leave in the comments. We'll leave like some of the information as well too. If you guys like what you see, hit the like and the subscribe button. Thank you so much again. Really appreciate it, Ashley.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect.